Lisa Dublin. I hope you can hear me this morning. Welcome to all the diamonds and to all the Girl Success Club. I'm a little late this morning. Was trying to print out something. It just wasn't happening, but I did get it printed out. I want to continue talking this morning about the biggest lessons learned in 2022. Just like some kind of eclectic kind of bringing together all our experiences, our thoughts, our emotions to kind of make sense even as we go into 2023. Does anybody do that? I've been reading a lot on social media about people taking time now to reflect. And I think that that's in order, isn't it? That's in order. But I guess at the end of it all, it's like, what do you end up with? So let's go. So usually in my club, if I'm going live on in my club, we usually talk about our confessions on a morning. Are you saying them? They've kept me all year. And those people who, are in the club know that we say them. I am blessed and highly favored, above only and not beneath, the head and not the tail. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I shall lend and not borrow, and I have nothing missing and nothing broken. So, as a way of saying to your mind and to your life where it's going to go, that is not just going to come and just do what it wants, that you are the one in control. My first son is getting ready to, get his, uh, what's it, the driver's permit thing. And I was saying to him a lesson that my father taught me all of these years ago when I first got my license, which was that you don't, the car is not going to control you. You have to control the car. You have to know that you know that you know that you are the one in control and not the other way around. And just that confidence and that understanding does something about how you drive. Well, for me, it kind of resulted in lots of tickets. Okay. I'm way better now. But sometimes you can have the overconfidence, if truth be told. That's the honest truth. So, welcome if you're in the club. I hope you're doing well. So, I was thinking about a couple I'm thinking about a couple lessons learned in 2022 and how am I going to take them into 2023. And yesterday I came upon myself. Let's put it that way. And I'm sure what most people can relate with what I'm going to talk about because I just didn't feel like exercising yesterday at all. Oh my goodness. One of these days, like I know usually I come on and I talk about being always in a good mood. And most of the time, like everybody, most of the time, I'm usually at that level. But there are some days when I just could not care less. And yesterday was one of those days I just did not feel like working out. Okay. I didn't want to run. I didn't want to. I didn't want to walk. And then I realized, okay, I want to exercise. But I just didn't want to do the same old, same old. Okay. And so late in the afternoon, which is perhaps where I failed, I should have tried to get it going early in the morning, which is my time. By afternoon time, I'm sleepy. I don't really want to do anything, right? Does anybody feel that way? So I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can try to do something different. So I went on YouTube and some friends along the way had been sending me some links for like home workouts and so on. I started one, I didn't like it. I did a hip hop one, I didn't like it. I did a soca one, I didn't like it. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I found, I'm probably gonna post it later. I found two young women. Okay, they looked like they had Caribbean roots, and they were really getting into it. And the steps were easy to do. So I kind of did a little bit of that, and after a while, though, I was just like, one of the lessons I've learned about from this year is sometimes you just have to just admit that it is not your day. Okay, some days you just might not feel like doing what you want to do. And that's okay. Sometimes you mightn't feel that you're in the mood to do it. You might try, and some days you just literally have to give up. Okay, and that's exactly what I did. I was just like, okay, today is not my day, clearly. So I'm just not even gonna push it. And that's I just gave up on the exercise. Has anybody felt that way that, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling it today. I'm just not feeling it at all. Hey, Janice, good morning. Good morning to you. Hi,
Today.
everybody.
I'm just
Oh,
not
just hang
feeling
on.
it at all. Hey,
Let me
Janice,
just,
good morning.
sorry about that. Okay. Hey, Delia. Hey, everybody. Um, Thank you for being here, you guys. So we continue with the lessons that we learned in 2022. And one of my lessons was, you know what? Some days it's just going to be very hard. Just give up, okay? Like even again yesterday, I think perhaps I was trying to do too much, and not where exercise was concerned, but just getting work done as much as I could. And at some point, it was just too much. I couldn't take any more reading, writing, whatever. And you know what? I just gave up. Went to watch some TV with the family and just kind of kicked back and just called it George. That's what it was. Some days it's like that. Some days you can't really do very much. And I feel like we probably need to see more of those days, truth be told. So that was one of the down lessons, the lessons of just accepting that some days you're not going to be at your blazing self, and you also need to accept and revel in those days. I think, though, excuse me, the thing is to not stay there. Okay? Like, I better find my butt somehow, some which what way, to find some exercise routine to do today because I'm still not feeling it. It's probably just the end of the year kind of thing. Everybody's home this week. So it's like you're not in your usual mind space or whatever it is. But anywho, I'll figure it out today. I hope you do too. Okay, folks, here's another lesson that I learned this year. And it's a lesson about failure. I think we all can benefit from that. That, you know what? I am even more convinced this year than even in other years that to look for the lessons in failure. I had a quote a couple days ago about you know what, that in it is in failure that we find the seeds of an equivalent or greater success, that you in every failure, in every adversity, you can find the seeds of a greater or equivalent success or victory. And I'm so really convinced of that this year, that it's how you approach failure that makes the difference in what happens after. That you can wallow in humiliation, in embarrassment, in anger and bitterness and unforgiveness, or you can sit in that feeling of being disappointed for a minute, for a while, as long as you need to, and then pick yourself up again and say, hey, I failed. It's not the end of the world. What can I learn from it? How can I do better? Now, there's a quote added to that whole processing of failure. I think what makes it especially hard sometimes, if truth be told, what makes it especially hard is dealing with people's comments and people's perception. Some of us don't even want to step out and do something new because we're afraid of what people will say. And for me, you see, that one, I deal extensively with myself on that front because it is very difficult to let somebody stay in your home and not pay rent. They're supposed to be renting in your head, and they're not even paying rent, but they're there. That's how I look at having people's opinions governing what you do and what you don't do, right? And hey, Sherry, how you doing? Good morning to you. And so I like to look at it that way, to kind of free myself as much as possible from what I think people say and people do. And by extension, to realize that what I think of other people doesn't really matter. Release people to be. Release them to be themselves, not to judge as much as possible, and not to be the kind of person who tries to put guardrails around people because, like, why should I do that? Because I'm not going to accept it from them. And there's this quote from, well, it's I discovered it in Brene Brown's Dare to Lead program, but it didn't come from her, and she acknowledged that. And here's a quotation about, from Teddy Roosevelt, about how to deal with people's criticisms that is sometimes unwarranted. You know, that's like watching football, you were watching World Cup from your couch and expecting them to do what you thought they should do. And you've never been out there on the field. You haven't even played football at all. hmm I feel that way when I'm watching basketball. I always feel like this should be easy. I've never played basketball. So, in other words, it tells you to take whatever people like me say where basketball is concerned with a grain of salt. Okay? But here's the quote, and I hope it helps. Hey, Maria, how are you doing? Here's what it says: It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. You guys, I probably didn't read it properly, whatever. But go find it. It begins, it is not the critic who counts. That is that phrase. Talking about when we look at criticism and when we look at who's saying what, some of those same people who are talking and laughing and trying to embarrass us and dash our dreams to pieces have not themselves dreamt, have not themselves been through the process, and therefore I feel like we have to discount those criticisms for what they are and discount them for lack of experience a lot of the time. Like I let me see what I want to say about this. Stop laughing at people. You've never been in their shoes. You've never been what they've been through. You don't know what their process is. Many times we stay on the armchairs and we want to criticize and we want to diss people, not understanding that the process that they are going through or have been through to get where they are or what they're going through. Like, let's stop it. And here's the thing: what I've realized is when I control myself and my thoughts about people that way, why is it that I am more confident in going forward in doing the things that I want to do? People like to tell me that I'm confident. I think I am, but a big part of that confidence is that I don't stop to think about what other people say because I myself don't put my thoughts on other people. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but that's how it's always been with me. I've always been about, I don't care if you're my worst enemy, okay? If you're striving for something, I'm that kind of person that let's go for the win, whatever it is. If you win, power to you. I mean, if you come looking for trouble, that's another thing, right? But I just feel like we need to give people grace and we need to take grace for ourselves. And we need to value the process and the learning and the disappointments and the failure just for what they are, as opposed to looking at it as somebody has done something so bad that they cannot be redeemed, they can't win anymore, that they are forever marred in our minds. Oh, please. Then that means for every single person, including our own selves, we should have the same standard. The problem is, if that is your standard, you are never going to grow. And even as, that quote from Ted Roosevelt, when he was saying here that the person who counts will never be with the cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of the trolls online, the people who post and back channel and, you know, take your photos and send here and there and laugh as if it meant anything in the grand scheme of things. Those same people are left with their mouths open when you ultimately win because they have no narrative for that. They're all dealing with wanting to see people fail and so on. When I speak about that, I always say to people, look at yourselves. Do not be one of those people who's going to be the laugher, the scoffer, the person who says to somebody who's trying something, don't do it because it's going to fail. And, just be there to make them feel bad. Like, I don't know. For me, just because um, I need the freedom for me to fail and for me to try new things and not be afraid or to discount for what other people say, because I want that freedom, I give it to other people. Go try stuff. Be yourself. Do what you have to do, right? Without fear that I am going to be one of those who'd be your harshest critics. It's not going to work that way, you guys. So I think like one of my other lessons for 2022 was to appreciate failure and to take a closer look at the value of failure, look into it and to take those lessons that I can apply to the future and apply to the next situation, and not to be afraid to be embarrassed or just to show my humanity. Like, no, that's just what it is. So I hope this kind of helped, and I hope, like, for 2023, that we learn things together and we give people grace to be themselves and grace to fall, get up again, fail forward, that kind of thing, and not be the persons on the sidelines being the critics. Like, oh my gosh, oh no, no way, no way. Anyway, so folks, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Let's see if I can keep this up. Coming down to the end of the year, I thought that we can just gather our little things in order, see where we are, what we're doing, and make plans for 2023. Because, if you don't make any plans, you're planning to fail. A lot of people are very cynical, like, oh my gosh, I don't need to plan. Everybody's planning, everybody's making goals. I know so many people like that. My gosh, I have to kind of check my friends. I know so many people like that who are like, I'm not going to make any goals. Whatever will be, will be. But what I've realized is if you don't plan, anything comes. If you plan, at least you go some ways towards achieving something in the distance of focus, and you can then channel your energies to get there. But if you don't plan, you're just going with the flow. You're going to go where everybody leads as opposed to where you want to go. So I encourage you to make those plans. Okay, folks? See you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Let's hope that I get to make doing some exercise today. I'm just not feeling it. Oh my goodness, I'm not feeling it. Let's see what happens. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.